Hello ADHD parents, my name is Braille Kennington and today I wanted to talk about ADHD and sleep. It's a common topic in this group, it's talked about all the time, but we don't really address specific things about it as much, and I wanted to just kind of give you a rundown of some of the tips and tricks that we've used and I myself have used because I've struggled with sleep my entire life. And so I just want to start off with sharing a little story. Usually my husband is the one who gets our two ADHD boys up, and one of them usually just kind of pops out of bed, and the other one, he's a little slower going in the morning and a little more emotional, and my husband's out of town, so I was getting the boys up, and my 7-year-old Bennett, he started to cry, and he said, "Mornings are so hard." And I mean, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. And like, I hear you, buddy. I hear you. Mornings are hard. They are hard. And so, even like implementing these things, sometimes it's still a struggle, and we just have to kind of be problem solvers and are constantly but consistently tweaking things just to get the best results and see what works for us and our little family. So I'm going to like highlight like 4 main points. And so the first one is to just get enough sleep. Most kids aren't getting enough sleep, but according to the American Pediatric Association, if your child is 3 to 5 years old, they should be getting 10 to 13 hours of sleep. If they're between the ages of 6 and 12, they're supposed to be getting 9 to 12 hours of sleep. And if they are teenagers, they should be getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And that's not factoring in the ADHD. And when you have ADHD, a lot of times, your brain activity is different than someone who doesn't have ADHD, and so it can feel like you aren't getting the proper amount of sleep. And that's not including if there's other sleep issues. So look online. You can check out, the recommended, if you didn't catch, the statistics that I gave you, what the recommended amount of sleep is for your kids. And chances are, most children are not getting enough sleep. So start there. And it takes time, it takes consistency. They're not gonna just be like, oh yeah, I'll go to bed at 7 or 8. But I start the bedtime process at 6 p.m. With my youngest, she's 4. And then at 7 p.m., I start with my 7-year-old, and then my 9-year-old goes to bed at 8. 9 the latest. So you just have to do what works for you guys and find a good routine. The second is to create an atmosphere that promotes sleep. Routine. You guys, whether your kid has ADHD or not, children thrive on routines. You should be starting the bedtime process the same time every night. Put an alert on your phone. Just be better about managing your time, and this needs to be a priority. And then do the same things in the same order at the same time. And you can still make it fun. It doesn't have to be this like yelling, exhausting thing. For us, I'll use my 7-year-old as an example because each of them has their own kind of little routine. So my 7-year-old, I say, okay, it's time for bed. And then I go and I sit in his room while he brushes his teeth in his bathroom. He gets in his pajamas, and then I read to him. And then I will put on his weighted blanket and his meditation. We use the YouTube channel, the Bubble Relaxation. His favorite is the Secret Tree House. And I turn off the lights and he goes to bed. Sometimes I'll put some essential oil in, but only if in his diffuser, but only if he asks for it. And sometimes if he asks, I will just sit in there with him until I hear him fall asleep. And then I close his door and it's dark in there. He has blackout curtains in his room, and he and his brother sleep in the same room, but we put them to bed separately because otherwise they talk and keep each other up. Easy. We also, as a family, before everything, we do family scripture study and family prayer. And I feel like that kind of sets the tone and kind of calms everyone down. I mean, it's not like magical and it's not like picture perfect. Like there's a lot of screaming and breathing each other's air, and we're having to, move kids around and stuff, but whatever, we do it and it works for us. And so you just have to figure out what works for you, but you have to be consistent about it and you have to do it every night. I know it can be harder with extracurricular activities and stuff, but you just do what you can to be as consistent as you can. Dark. I talked about the blackout curtains. Night lights. I would say try to not have night lights. Try to not have the door open with lights on because it disrupts sleep patterns. But if you have a child who's struggling with being afraid, then try to find like a dimmer light, maybe even a light that's a different color, so that it's not going to affect them and keep them awake. Also, have your child write out their to-do list, especially teenagers, because this was something I did as a teenager. I wrote in a journal and I would just kind of write out my next to-do list, because your brain is like racing all the time and you're already thinking about the next 20 things that you need to do the next day, and it can get overwhelming, and then you just can't sleep. You can't fall asleep. You just can't turn your brain off. So that, even as an adult, I do that. Also, there's a lot of meditation apps and YouTube channels that you can listen to for free. I still use those, and then my children use them as well. Although one of my kids, it freaks him out for some reason. He's just a very literal type of kid. So just do what works for you guys. You'll just have to try it out and try it consistently, like I said before, and see if it works for you. No screens 30 minutes before bed. We even do a little bit more than 30 minutes. It's been scientifically proven that it affects sleep. It affects sleep, it affects mood, it affects behavior. Less screen time is better. We don't really let them do screens during the week unless they do specific tasks to earn it, and then it's only like 10 or 15 minutes. And then on the weekend they can have an hour. I've read a lot of research, a lot of books, and I could do an entire video just on screen time alone. So for just bedtime purposes, no screens 30 minutes before bed, and don't have the screens in their bedrooms. Whether you can put it in a bathroom. I put when I'm playing the relaxation thing on YouTube, I have a tablet. I turn the brightness all the way down, and I actually just have it like right outside his door, so that it's not even in his room. So he's not tempted to like pick it up and like start watching Minecraft videos on YouTube. Because, I mean, he's a kid. He would do that. Also, weighted blankets are a huge resource. And you don't even like realize it until you try it, and then it just does wonders for children. It's usually the percentage of their weight is what you go by, but there's a lot of companies you can go through, but I like Balanced Blankets. It's just a really nice company. They come in really cute fabrics, and it's like a small business instead of like getting it at Walmart or something. So also, I have like a list. That's why I'm looking down. Essential oils. So like, okay, essential oil ladies, please don't I would say like stone me, but like don't oil me to death. I think that they're a great resource. I think that my children like them, but I haven't been able to find like any evidence that like they work, we haven't had such a wonderful experience with them that I'm like diehard can share this great testimony of it. But they don't hurt anything, and my kids like them. And there's something to be said about just breathing deeply. And when your child picks a scent that they're attracted to and put it in the diffuser, they like it. And I think that it makes them feel special, and it has benefits. So you can rub it on their feet with rollers. You can put the essential oil in roller balls that have things that have fractionated coconut oil in it. And then there's like different blends that you can put together. So just if your child likes it, there's no harm in it. But that hasn't been like I haven't seen a huge difference in my children with essential oils. So I'm really sorry. I hope that doesn't offend anyone. Some people, if your experience is wonderful with it, that's great. I'm glad you found something that worked for you. That's important, is that you just keep trying and be consistent about it. I'm gonna say the word consistent like a million times. Tired teddies. So I have some bad news about tired teddies. Tired teddies, I love them. I was taking 2 a night myself. They like doubled their price, those little stinkers, because they work. It's not just melatonin. They have another blend of like chamomile and some other things that help just like relax and quiet the mind. They're not addictive or habit forming, and they taste like bubble gum. So you can get them on Amazon if you're in the United States. It's a mom created them out of Utah. And so they went from like $10 a bottle to like $22 a bottle. So I actually just started another gummy blend that I've tried, but they don't work as well as tired teddies. So we don't use them every night, but if I have a child who is struggling with sleep, they really, really work. And I especially like them when we're traveling. But now that they're more expensive, you just have to really see if it's like something that, if it's gonna help your child sleep, then it's worth it. Meditation, we talked about a little bit, but it's so easy to do. It's free, it's easy to do, but it's easy not to do. But when you do it consistently, it compounds over time. And whenever like I'm kind of feeling like I'm in a funk, or my kids are just like, what in the world is going on? I kind of go through this checklist that I have of like kind of troubleshooting, like, okay, are we doing this? Are we doing this? Are we doing this? And meditation is the first thing off the list because of time or how tired you are, but it makes a big difference. And so I challenge you to give it a try. I don't think it's for everyone. My son, Austin, my oldest, he does better with more of like one-on-one time, just talking, getting things out or drawing things. Whereas my other son, he doesn't want to talk about it, but he likes to do the meditation exercises and then like, he's like falling asleep snoring within like 15 minutes. It's great. So you just have to see what works for you. And reading before bed. If I want to fall asleep, I will read before bed, not on my phone, not on my Kindle. I know those are convenient, but a real book and I will fall asleep. Same thing with kids, whether they're being read to or you're reading to them, it quiets the mind. And also, if you read your child every night, it puts them in the 90th percentile with academics. Just a little tip for you. Also, if they're struggling with waking up, especially teenagers, move their alarm out of their bedroom or give them an alarm. I never was woken up by my parents growing up. I just was expected to get up, even though it was a huge struggle for me. I was just expected to be up and to get myself ready and to be out the door. And there were consequences if I wasn't. So I had to move my alarm clock across the room. Even now as an adult, my phone is my alarm clock, but it is not in my bedroom. It's either like far on the far dresser at the other side of my room, not near my bed, or it's in the bathroom. Same thing with kids. Have an alarm clock that they can be in charge of that has to be not near their bed. Because how many times do we hit snooze in the morning? And there's like so much research, like just with hitting snooze and what that does to you and your body and your mind. No snoozing, just out of bed the first time. And if you're consistent with like 1 through 3, and you don't see improvements, so those things that I talked about, getting enough sleep, if they're getting enough sleep, if you've created an atmosphere for good sleep, and if you've moved their alarm clock, if they're still struggling with like energy, mood, waking up in the morning, then it's time to talk to your doctor about having a sleep study done. I've struggled with sleep my whole life, but I just kind of didn't realize that I was struggling with sleep until I lost 80 pounds. I started, this health journey, and I realized I sleep really bad. So I got a sleep study done, and it turns out that I have sleep apnea even after losing all the weight. It's very much hereditary, but sleep apnea can actually cause ADHD symptoms. I'm not saying it causes ADHD, but it can cause ADHD symptoms. So if you're like trying all these things or trying all these medications and nothing's working for your child, maybe your child has sleep apnea. But also something to know is that sleep issues actually do go hand in hand with ADHD. So your child might actually just have ADHD, or they might, like me, have ADHD and sleep apnea. Right? It just gets like more confusing, right? So you can have a sleep study done. It needs to be through usually a pediatric sleep center, and they just stay overnight. You get to stay with them, and it's not as scary. Like, it looks like a bedroom, and they hook you up to all these wires, and then you sleep. And I know going in, I was like, yeah, right. But they got enough data that they needed, and my brain activity was so high. They said they'd never seen brain activity like that while someone was sleeping. They thought I might have a fever, so they came in and took my temperature, and they actually took the covers off of me and put a fan on me, and it was still like my brain activity was through the roof. So it's good to just rule those things out if you tried those other things and you're still not having issues. I've tried sleep medicines, and I just couldn't function the next day. So I would caution against that. Use these other methods first before getting into some sort of sleep aid, especially if it's going to be habit forming, that type of thing. I got a CPAP machine for my sleep apnea. and it actually made it worse. Some people it just doesn't work for, and it's just because of the way my physiology, the way I'm built, the way my mouth is formed. And I actually went to a sleep dentist and got a sleep apnea mouth guard. And so just keep trying different things. I'm not saying your child needs to get a CPAP or needs to get a sleep study or needs to get a mouth guard, but if you're trying all these things and it's not working, then try something else. And just talk to your child, especially your teens, about like what you guys can do to make sure that they're sleeping better. It is a huge, huge, huge thing. If you're not getting the right amount of sleep, it can cause so many issues. Depression, anxiety, obesity, mood issues, growth issues, so many things. And so these are just, some tips and tricks that have worked for us. I'd love it if you commented with some of the things that work for you guys, routines that work for you, other things that you've tried that have worked for you. Everyone's going to be different. So really you just have to, try it out, be consistent about it. You can't try something once or twice and know if it's going to work or not. It's usually the things compounded over time where you look back and you realize, yeah, doing that meditation every day, he is not crying in the morning anymore. He isn't having anxiety at night when he's going to bed and having meltdowns as much anymore. It's those things that you're going to notice if they're making a difference or not. So I can't wait to see what you guys are commenting and things that you're doing to help your kiddos out. And I hope you have a great day.